Yo, how's it going, family? Modern Girl Gaming, Creezo here. I wanted to go over what is my first ARPG experience, uh, and what I think about Path of Exile 2 and its future. I am probably 500 hours into the game now. My build is very good. I do all the content in the game at the hardest difficulty, and I kill all the bosses very well. It just takes a little bit of maneuvering, a little bit of getting used to. I don't have a lot of max currency. This is like my farming tab. Like I have a couple more alliances I was gonna run that I just have listed in case somebody buys them for more than I bought them for. I was farming audiences with the king. I bought 10 audiences with the king. I was gonna farm them for stream. Decided not to, just out of lack of motivation, which is kind of what brought me to this video now. So, um, firstly, I have so much appreciation for this game and how good of an introduction it is to the ARPG genre, especially considering, the fables, the tales of the difficulty curve in Path of Exile 1. A lot of people say that like learning how to use the currencies and the systems in that game like accumulatively it's like getting a job. It's just a lot of effort. People say like you get 1,000 hours, 3,000 hours, and you're still considered a beginner. Absolutely ridiculous. This game, that was not my experience at all. Coming in relatively fresh. I've dabbled in ARPGs before, anywhere from Diablo 4 to Diablo 3. I played Diablo 2 to completion with a lot of my friends. That was a really great experience. I've always had a fondness for ARPGs, but I've never been completely enamored with them the way that Path of Exile 2 enamored me. And I think that largely in part has to do with the immense leveling experience. Now, up until like um, the sixth act of the game, and even going into Cruel, like your initial steps into Cruel, the game really starts to show not its true colors, but where the painting kind of dies off. I'll try to put the picture on the screen here of the horse that's really well drawn, and then you kind of get lazy and you just MacGyver the rest. I'll put that around here, but that I think encapsulates the analogy, or that analogizes Path of Exile 2 perfectly. I'm not angry about it. I'm not like, disappointed that they're splitting their uh, workforce between the two games. Like, I'm just a Path of Exile 2 enjoyer uh, that sunk way too much time into this. And I want to break down what's sort of the stages of my enjoyment, right? So yeah, getting to the first like acts of the game, getting through that, wonderful, perfect, really fun. It's super fun with friends. I don't care what anyone says. It's super fun to level with friends. It's super fun to watch the mobs and what they do, especially after the balance patch. Like pushing and rolling was a big problem, and that's just not a problem anymore. So melee probably still sucks. Warrior probably still terrible. Whatever. More classes. It's early access. When I think about early access, I think the golden standard was Baldur's Gate 3, and this has immensely more content than that early access. And uh, it's more complete. It's just not the entirety of the game, right? So I like the argument that the game wasn't shipped late enough. Maybe this was the point where they really would have appreciated the feedback, and I appreciate that's why they did it. But I can understand people that say that the game needed to be cooking a little more before release, and I say this because the very end of the game is simply an amalgamation of league mechanics as I understand them from Path of Exile 1, all smashed onto these randomly generated nodes on these terrible maps that nobody likes. I am not terribly disdained with the maps. My build has a dash. It's pretty fast. I mean, I do a map relatively fast. I think my biggest issue with the maps is I'm happy to do a bad map. It just feels really dumb when I have to path the map. So here I don't have any mechanics. The fastest thing to do would just to be to slot in a tier 1 map, and then after that tier 1 map is done, I move on, but I gain literally nothing except maybe if a divine drops or something from an elite. Like, absolutely pointless, absolutely worthless waste of time. There's no challenge in doing a tier 1 map when you're level 92 and smashing tier 4 bosses. Like, It's ridiculous. Just let us skip maps, let's skip nodes, and the entirety of the issue is solved. Don't want to do it? Don't do it. Skip over it. You're gonna put a T1 anyway. Who cares? Make the skip button only appear after you finish the main quest. I don't care. I don't care. Whatever floats your boat, dude. I don't think it matters that much, honestly. Considering the depth of the experience you're gonna have here, right? But yeah, I think I'm getting ahead of myself. I think the next point, after the leveling experience, is at least in Trade League, right? I only played Trade. I didn't play SSF. I didn't play Hardcore. But I actually imagine that those modes are extremely fulfilling in this game, because the mechanics and the chase items are actually pretty good. Like, the power level you need to defeat all the monsters actually isn't high relative to how powerful you can get, right? Because you can do infinite damage in this game with Choir Blink. Shout out Yang Mo. But yeah, getting rich and powerful was like my next step, right? I wanted to get currency. I wanted to buy good items. I wanted to round out my build. And that's kind of where the game points you towards once it drops you in maps. It's like, okay, you're doing these. Like, okay, now you're big enough to do a breach stone. Like, okay, now you can do a tier 2 breach stone. And eventually, you're going to be sitting with your full build, hundreds of divs, and you're still not going to be able to complete a single delirium. Even after killing T4 Arbiter, you still won't be able to complete a single delirium. But anyway, but it's cool because delirium kind of sucks. You could buy the flask for like 20 divs, and then after that, the game really starts to fall off because you lose the dopamine hits that you were getting from leveling, from killing the bosses for the first time. Nothing becomes exciting anymore. The first time you see a divine on the floor, like, you salivate for another one for a couple weeks, and then after a while, it just doesn't hit. I see a divine, I'm like, great, one divine. I need 350 divines for the Temporalist that I want to buy. It's like a lot of these goals just simply aren't attainable to even a medium core player base, and I imagine people that are extremely stubborn are going to be in this league for a very long time, like well into the next league, still trying to get their Temporalis. I hope for those people that they move on or try SSF or something in the meantime, possibly Monster Hunter. But, at this point, though, you're going to be well over 100 hours in, maybe 200 hours in, maybe 300 hours in, I think around 1 or 2 to be more reasonable. But the dopamine rate is just going to slow down a lot. And I'm at the point now where, like, I remember doing my first Audience of the King, my heart was pounding, right? I had saved up so much because I heard rituals were so profitable. And this is it. Like, I'm finally saved up enough. If I do this, I can start farming rituals efficiently. Like, and then maybe I can buy some good gear. My heart would be pounding during that fight, and failing during the maze. Like, I was up on my seat. I was like, no, like yelling, Recently I did the Sekimus farm, the Desperate Alliance Vase Relic farm. I was doing this, and I remember my first time before I even got a Desperate Alliance killing Zeroth. Dude, my heart was pounding. Like, my 4th Ascendancy challenge I did solo on my Infernalist in Trade League. Like, it was incredible. It was an amazing experience. It was extremely frustrating having to go back 3 times, but I fucking did it. I went in there and I did it myself, and that's kind of why also I have a hankering to explore SSF and hardcore SSF, because I think a lot of those challenges that you take for granted as a Trade League player are a lot more fulfilling. But you can only witness something like that once, right? Or that diminishing return, I fear that it's going to like kind of have an effect on that too. Like, I'm not going to be crazy about my Zarkoth kill. I've already killed Zarkoth. Even if it was in Trade League, it's like, it's not the same thing. But who am I to say, really? I don't have experience like that, so that could totally be just my me being negative about it, right? Me having glass half empty kind of perspective, being pessimistic. And yeah, you see my loot from the I did 10 audiences with the King. I got like this Ingenuity, it's alright. And I got this, I sold one for like 5 div, that was also trash roll, and then I sold another from nothing that was like 30 div, and I sold this. But like, doing a 30 div sale, doing a 40 div sale, doing a 50 div sale, these things don't get me excited anymore. I don't care, right? I had 200 divines stacked up, And I just decided to gamble it away. I was saving up. I was like, you know what? I'll buy an Astromantis or I'll buy a Temporalis, and then I'll make a crazy Gemling or I'll make a crazy Choir Blink, and then that'll be the next thing I do, right? And I just couldn't be bothered. I could not run Sanctum anymore. I literally couldn't. Like I bought like 10 or 12 of these relics to start, and of course they've been dropping as I go. I have higher relic drop chance. I can't finish these. It's far too boring now for me, right? And I think that's totally fair. Like I've put in my amount of hours. Like me being burnt out is totally normal. It seems like a lot of people are burnt out as well at this point in the game, and so I'm probably gonna either start SSF and HC, as a lot of people have, or I'm gonna play Monster Hunter pretty soon and just take a break from games for a little while, you know. And that is generally my experience with this game, or was. You know, it starts off hooking you in with a great premise, a great promise, and just a great setting. Like, you know, I was encapsulated by the setting. I was immersed in the atmosphere. I was following the story relatively well. I thought you would need more knowledge from Path of Exile 1, but the characters individually and the dialogues, all the text boxes that are there are awesome. You know, Act 2 was my favorite narratively, I think, you know, and I just appreciated like the setting of the sands and the Ardra a lot. I thought that was really badass. Act 3 is really badass too with the Aztec stuff. It's just that like doing a first character through the campaign, like I don't mind Act Three's length. You know, like I loved the campaign, so Act 3 could have been twice as long my first playthrough. I don't think I would have minded. But even doing it more than once after that, you're like, oh my god, Act 3 is too fucking long. Like these maps are too fucking big. These objectives are too far apart. You know, like at one point in Act 3, you need to find 3 different maps. Like one map branches into 3 different ones. One is optional for extra spirit, but it's like for extra spirit, so of course you're gonna go there. You know, but I digress. Like, yeah, incredible leveling experience. And then after you're done leveling, you're like, okay, I'm at the end game. And you're an SSF. I imagine you're gonna start working your way towards a league mechanic in which the boss has a unique drop that would benefit your gear the most. I think that's what you do. So like if your build loves ingenuity, then you start going doing breaches. You know, if you're running a Chayula monk and you want to go for the no-hit temporalis, I guess you better start farming Secumus, because it's like a 0.5% drop chance for the last flame. I've never seen one, and a lot of people that I know have never seen one that farm it all day. You know, if you're gonna do like a crazy adorned gem setup, you know, you farm Chaos Trials. And I love that this game has good loot pools with crazy big hit items in every mechanic. I think that's really fun, and that's what I think would make SSF great. But it's just that some mechanics are better than others. Like not all mechanics are equal, and that's a real shame because my favorite is Chaos Trial. You know, Secumus Trials, as much as I've probably done Secumus more than any other mechanic, or Sanctum. But Sanctum is just like, it's a bit tedious for me. Like the map layouts, it's mainly the gauntlets. Like I just hate the gauntlets. Unless you're running Blink, it's so miserable to like go around hitting levers. Like I hate them so much. And sometimes you have to go through them because I can't take no energy shield. Why is having no energy shield an option? For the curses, it's like take 50% more damage or no energy shield. Like, okay, I guess I'll go fuck myself, you know. I digress. Yeah, like I love Chaos Trials because like, yeah, the modifiers are terrible, or they can be, but the chances of you getting 3 that absolutely brick your run is pretty bad. And I'm running like a pretty strict build. Like my build cannot take reduced defenses, reduce like energy shield recharge rate, reduce elemental resistances. Like my build will brick if one of 10 things happen to it, you know. And I still have more fun running Chaos Trials than anything else. Like I think the problem with Ritual is that not enough dopamine hits. Like you could farm Rituals for hours, and then you finally get that chase, you know, Keystone. You're like, yes, you know. But that gets old super fast. Like the diminishing returns on the dopamine per hour is just so bad. Chaos Trials, you'll have a lot of mileage, a very consistent divine farm, and if you're just starting off and you have a strong build, like everybody is doing Desperate Alliance. Everybody and their mother, right? So Desperate Alliance, great medium tier to end game. farm, especially if you have a really fast character. Excuse me. What else? Yeah, that's I guess that's about it. Uh, I loved playing this game for what it was. I do wish that the end game was more fleshed out, but hey, like I am not complaining. I think this is a great place to stop. I think 500 hours is beautiful. Like I did not even expect to get 200 hours out of this game, if I'm honest, and especially not for $30. you know, I'm so happy with this product that I've already like enjoyed, and I have high aspirations for it in the future. I know there's a lot of controversy on this game from like the very hardcore. Again, for Path of Exile 1, like thousands of hours is considered a beginner, right? So me saying I've played 500 hours of Path of Exile 2, like they might just look down on that or whatever. But I think this perspective is the majority perspective, if I'm quite honest. Like, um, out of all my friends, like one has played POE1 before, and I played POE1 before. I got like 40 hours in. I was just playing, having fun, and then at one point I couldn't kill a boss anymore, break my build, and then I tried to look up how to respec, and it was like 2 pages. Backed off the game. I was like, whatever. This game comes out, it's like I can just read everything and play along, and all I want to respec, like when I respec my character, it was like twice the gold, and then they half the gold like the next day that it cost or something. Pissed me off, but in the end, I'm happy they did it because I ended up respecing a lot more times after that. But you just respec with gold, perfect. A little gold sync, cool. A lot of people respec constantly when they're doing different mechanics. They swap between mechanics. I think that's cool. I think there should be different. Either there might even be different tabs for your skill trees. I'm not sure. I'll check later. I know there's weapon skill points. Fourth, I digress of the video. Much digression. Uh, yeah. It's just you get so burnt out gambling at the end. This game is all gambling. In the end game, you're just looking for the roll. You're just hitting the slot. Did the boss drop it? Did the boss drop it? Oh, did it drop it? Good. And even if it's like a guaranteed drop, like not a Desperate Alliance. What is it? Like Against the Darkness, right? Even if you get like an Against the Darkness guaranteed, there's no guarantee it's gonna have good modifiers on it, right? You might just get an Against the Darkness that's like 2 div cheaper than freaking a Desperate Alliance, which is depressing. It's super depressing. It's super depressing to do a ritual and not get a belt or not get a diamond. I can't speak for logbooks. I'm not a logbook farmer. Breaches are fun for a while, I guess. Like, I don't know. I get sick of doing splinter sweeps. Like, I can't. When you gotta scour the whole screen just to look, I think that's why I settled on this, was because you just grab your diamond, you grab your relics, and you leave. Or you check the boxes after for a time lost cash or whatever. Yeah. Once this game's endgame gets fleshed out, I might not have a life. Or might not have whatever's left of my life. Like, I had so much fun playing this game. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I'm gonna call it right there. Just really quick plans for the channel. I don't think I'll be doing too much more Path of Exile on the channel. Like I mentioned, I'm kind of burnt now. I might do like SSF or HCSSF, as I mentioned, just because I think that would be kind of cute. Probably just SSF, maybe not HCSSF. And just to try like a Gemling build or a Monk build, or one of these like cool Chronomancer or Hammer of the Gods, like just something different, because I've been doing Infernalist this entire time. I tried to make an Archmage and a Deadeye, and it's boring. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty boring. Gemling looks a little better, maybe. I don't know. What do I know? I gotta go find out. Thank you guys for listening. Be well.